Dance with me. That's what that says. Dance with me. So we're going to get started pretty quickly. I want to do an oldie but goodie before I get into story time because I need to take a little bit of time before we get into deep story time as people are running to their computers right now, completely out of control, screaming, Denver's on! Denver's on! Here we go. Denver's on. So I'm going to do a little bit of a quick clip to give you sort of the theme of tonight, which is pretty fun. And I don't know if anybody remembers this. This is fairly old, but I think it might have been Marjorie Taylor Greene's first video. A little bit of a joke there, but it does sound a little bit like her. But I hope everybody remembers Sprinkler Girl.
Today, July 6th, 2007, about 4:30 p.m. I'm just wondering what the heck is in our water supply? What the heck is in our oxygen supply of the metallic oxide salts that create a rainbow effect in a sprinkler? What is oozing out of our ground that allows this type of effect to happen? Not just around our sun and our moon anymore, everywhere we look. The visible spectrum is rainbows. This cannot be natural. We all know it wasn't something that happened 20 years ago, but now it's happening now. We as a nation have got to ask ourselves, what the hell is going on?
Sprinkler rainbows. We got to stop that shit. What's in the water supply? Now we got to stop this now. You know, I'm wearing a special shirt for all of you today after we've seen these sprinklers. And here's where we're going to talk about this shirt. And here we go. Here we go. This shirt is my Bigfoot searching shirt. So I wear this not only for Bigfoot searching. I've been to the Loch Ness. I've been to ghost hunts. I've looked for aliens. I've done a lot of things, right? I've tried to, even when I was younger, right? I remember we actually got chased from a guy in the woods who was living there, encampment type of thing. I think I was 8 or 9 years old. This is like 1978, 79. And remember, it was me and a few of my friends. And these are real names, but I'm not going to give their last names just to protect the innocent, right? So we had Stacy, we had Mike, we had John, okay? And we had little Denny, right? I was the smallest of everybody. I know it's hard to believe, in my incredible 5'7" stature. So we're actually going to look at this. We heard about that there was this guy living near the basketball courts at Coverstone Apartments. I don't know if anybody's ever been to Manassas in Coverstone Apartments, but back in the day, in the late 70s, I mean, really the restaurant to go to in that area was the Pizza Hut, right? So, but it was about it had to be a half mile of woods and scrub and stuff before you get to the Pizza Hut. So I'm like, hey, let's go find out if this guy's really in the woods, which isn't the smartest thing when you're 8 or 9, you know. So, but I was a bit of a leader at the time. You know what I'm saying? So, I got John together with Stacy and Mike, and almost said Mike's last name. That would so we started heading down into the woods. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but we were real winners. Like, I mean, my family, we would actually cut trees out of these woods in the public area behind there for Christmas. I don't know if anybody absconded with illegal Christmas trees. We did. That's how cool we were. So I knew right where to go, right, to try to find this guy. So he's sitting in this little copse of trees, and there's like a weird mattress, and there's weird pictures everywhere. They're hanging on the trees around there. And I remember I'm just this stupid kid. And you got to remember, we're coming from the pool. We probably don't have our shirts on. We're just walking through the woods, barefoot, just insane. And everybody knows, right? Gen Xers out there, 1978, 79, our parents didn't know where we were, probably didn't care. So we go down there and we're looking around. This guy jumps out of the woods and starts yelling. And we bust ass out of there. I mean, you talk about 4 kids flying. And I'm not going to lie, I was first. I'm thinking, Mike is so slow, right? He's last. The guy can get him, right? I'm just leaving Mike behind. So I'm running out of there. So I've always been a bit adventurous, right? And yeah, I see Dot Adventures After the Pool is Gen X summer. It really is. But let's talk serious. Well, not yet, not completely. I was on a Bigfoot expedition in 2006, actually in the Monongahela National Forest, and this was right before I went to the Adirondacks, and actually through my own Bigfoot expedition, which we can talk about, just to actually study some of the individuals that were going to come out, and people did show up. Even a guy who believed in the smoke foot. Have you guys heard of this? You know, where Bigfoot actually can be seen if you smoke cigarettes or blow cigar smoke out into the woods. You can actually see the interdimensional doors, and you'll see like a Bigfoot face come through. It's not really the movement of the smoke that looks like a face, like clouds. It was actually Bigfoot coming through the interdimensional smoke door if you were going to blow smoke in the woods. And I just asked guys, so why wouldn't you just get a big smoke blower and see all of them? And that didn't go over very well. So, you know, just sort of the common sense questions that I like to ask people when they're talking about Bigfoot. Anyhow, it's 2006 in Monongahela, and this guy had set up a CP. He was a retired Army Special Forces guy, and he had a van. He had radio antennas. We had walkie-talkies. I mean, it was crazy. He even brought in people to train us on how to track Bigfoot. You know, they had a 4-foot walking stick. If you see big footprints that are 4 feet apart, that's probably a Bigfoot between 7 to 8.5 feet tall. If you see the 2-inch and, you know, I'm asking questions like, well, you know, did you guys actually compare this against any other evidence? Like, how do you know that it's 7.5 to 8 feet tall? Like, well, that's a normal human. Well, I thought it was an 8. You know, I'm just being an idiot, right? Playing stump the dummy with these guys. So we're out, and somebody had reported rock throwing had been coming from the hill above them and hitting them. And it was the night before, about 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning, and said this was a hot spot, right? This area had been visited, you know, by many people, and they thought it was a Bigfoot breeding area or something like that. I don't know if it was breeding area, but it was something. I don't know why I went right to Bigfoot breeding area. I guess that's where I get my reputation. Anyway, so we're actually up there and we're walking, and there's a side hill path. And I said, hey, let me use your NVG. So this cat had brought, no kidding, Gen 3 night vision goggles for this Bigfoot thing. I'm like, that's pretty cool, right? I've been on a lot of these, and nobody's really brought NVGs, right? I had some Gen 1s on the first one, and I've used some crap thermal vision, but this will be nice to look at these NVGs to see if I can see any movement out there. So me and Spinner, a good friend of mine, had the NVGs, and about 8 to 9 people said, we want to go with Denver on this. I'm like, wow, I'm like a Bigfoot expedition leader, man, you know? So, and by the way, as everybody knows, I wrote a book about believers. I don't believe in Bigfoot, but it was still, you know, very flattering that people who believed in mythical beings wanted me to lead them. So we're going and we're side hilling. So I'm looking up there and somebody yells. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. It's dark. Every noise has people jumpy. And up on the right-hand side, there was a very loud, almost like a crack, you know, like somebody had taken a massive paddle and hit something right next to a tree or something like that. The first thing that everybody in that group thought was that a Bigfoot was territorially signaling to the other Bigfoots that we were coming through their area. They also wanted to listen and be very quiet after the loud crack to see if they can hear any shrieking whistles or howls or any type of language that they like to call samurai. And if anybody had heard this, if you go to Sierra Sounds, you know, it's like, whoom, cha, 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 you know, something like that, which everybody thinks that this is Bigfoot that talks to people in the woods. So there's absolute quiet panic going on with these people in the woods. So I had an idea. And I thought it was one of my most brilliant ideas that I've ever done. I knew that up to my right, and if you're thinking about the Monongahela National Forest, you're talking about the Greenbrier River. We're above, if anybody's familiar with that area. It's very steep. Fortunately, you know, we were in an area where we were side hilling, where it went up, you know, it wasn't too bad, right? It was pretty hilly, right? But I could almost see to the top. So we were pretty close to the top. And I said, what if I put on my NVGs and I run towards the sound? Now, I became legend because of this, but you're like, good Lord, Den, why would you run towards a noise that could be an 8-foot monster or beast, maybe in the middle of mating season? Oh, it's dangerous, right? That's a dangerous thing. But I did it. Why? And I hope everybody's sitting down. Is it because I was brave? Is it because that I'm this incredible adventurer that's there to find and unlock the secrets of the supernatural world, or maybe find a new species It's because I'm trying to impress the people that were walking with me on that trail that night. No, the reason I ran straight up that hill towards the noise is because I know there's no such thing as a frickin' Bigfoot, everybody. That's why I did it, right? Because it doesn't exist. And I guess what I'm trying to tell you guys is you're looking at what's happening in politics right now, right? Is that everybody on the trail, on this conspiracies trail, thinks every noise in the woods is a Bigfoot or every clap is a Bigfoot. They think it's something mythical or mystical or something they can't explain, something that's never been found. And that's the exact same thing that Tulsi Gabbard is doing right now with this stupid coup stuff against Obama. So let me give you a story very quickly. So when you're looking at this, I put out a report with the Network Contagion Research Institute back in 2020, May of 2020. Do you guys know this is the same playbook that was used 5 years ago? The exact same playbook. Now, I don't know why the media hasn't reported on this because it was reported because I did it. I was in Congress. I released the report. Not only that, just months later, I was there when President Trump tweeted and retweeted a guy named Perot, spelled Parrot, who said he was a hawk person. He was a falconry guy in the CIA, and he knew that Obama and Biden had killed SEAL Team 6 because they had actually killed an Osama bin Laden body double. President Trump retweeted this about Obama and Biden. Does anybody remember this? Well, it was just front page news. You know who the person, you know why? You know the person who called him out on it? This guy. What you're looking at between May and October, when Trump knew his polling was down, when they were getting ready for the stolen election conspiracy theories, he had another theory happening at that time. Subpoena Obama or Obamagate, which was also pushed by Lindsey Graham. You're like, well, Denver, how did this happen? In May, between May 9th to May 10th, and we might be able to get the link of the report up there, there was a 4chan leakage that came up into Twitter from a actual handle called Follow the 17. Why is that important? The 17th letter of the alphabet is Q. Follow the 17 was a QAnon account on Twitter that I don't think exists anymore. What it did said, let's make Subpoena Obama or Obamagate go viral. This was about the stolen election stuff also, but what I want to tell you all is that it actually came up from the bottom, from 4chan, leaked into Twitter. Twitter then made it viral. It was number one. This report, you can go look it up right now. If you Googled, right, NCRI for Network Contagion Research Institute and QAnon conspiracy, it's an incredible report, about 24 pages. Start about page 20 and has your eyes pop out of your head that this has already been done by Trump. And the media doesn't even go back a couple years to see it's the same playbook, the exact same stories. Are you going to go back to 2016, the Rubio report and the Senate report? All the years? It's insane. What Tulsi Gabbard is doing is lying. It's not shifting the field. They don't even know the difference in cyber attack. They're getting election interference and cyber attack, like the DNC hack, confused. Cyber operations are both. But what you have with Tulsi Gabbard, right, is they're making noises in the woods, and the followers thinks it's Bigfoot. The followers thinks it's the deep state. The deep state is hitting things against a tree. The reason that I get so angry, right, and also bemused at the same time, it's like laughter through tears here, is that it's the same exact story. And the media or anybody who's looking at it doesn't even know to go back and actually report that, oh, it's the same shit. It's just the same thing. It's the same conspiracy theories rehashed. Not only that, it was much worse. We're not even touching the tip of the iceberg on how bad it's going to get on Obama and Biden. Not even a little bit. Why? Because he needs something to distract from Epstein. It's that simple. The very thing that he accused people of wagging the dog during the Democratic administrations is what GOP and MAGA does. Why? How would I know? I was a Republican, and I know, I hope everybody's sitting down. I was in the Freedom Caucus. I know how they message. Never, ever let the facts get in the way of a good story. That's how the GOP is going to message. They're tougher than the Dems. They're going to lie. They're going to come up with anything they can, and they're going to coordinate their messaging. What have you guys, if you guys are on X, what are you seeing? You're seeing this constant stream of influencers putting out the same stuff over and over and over again. So anyhow, I'm up there on this hill, and I run up this hill with these night vision goggles, and I'm looking. Spinner's right behind me. My wife is actually in this group with us. Now, something I've left out of the story. Christine was with the people down there. They were freaking out. They're like, are Riggleman and Spinner, are Denver and Spinner going to come back? Are they going to be killed by Bigfoot? Because that was a loud noise, really loud noise. When she was down there, she goes, listen, there's probably not a Bigfoot up there. Now, my wife is even meaner than me, or not meaner, but she's a little bit more kindly confrontational when it comes to not suffering fools. And as they talked about that there could be Bigfoots all around us, and that with me and Spinner gone, left them exposed, that would mean that there's multiple Bigfoots in the area, surround the area, which Christine calmly told them that was crazy. That was insane. Spinner and I looked on that mountaintop through NVGs for 20 to 30 minutes. We get back down. We tell the group that we have not seen Bigfoot. The group sort of believes us, but a couple didn't. And you know what they told me? They said, well, Bigfoot is an energy being. So now I had no way to prove. So my question was, okay, so what, do they just sort of materialize into the woods and they hit they get a paddle somewhere, they get a big old baseball bat and they hit a tree and they're like, ha ha, it's like Homer Simpson going back into the freaking bushes, I mean, is that what's happening with Bigfoot? Is he just going back into the interdimensional bushes? What the hell's going on here? I think what we're going to see coming up are a few things. Number one, you're going to see nothing on Epstein. You're going to see just ridiculously redacted grand jury reports without the real evidence in the files because they're never going to release those. They can't. They get too close to the sun with Trump and Epstein, right? And this stupid lawsuit against Murdoch, right? The $10 billion lawsuit on the love letter he wrote for Epstein's 50th birthday is going to be a disaster for them. This will be the first one. This is literally Republican on Republican violence. And I know that the book I wrote, the first book that got me in a bit of trouble because it was about disinformation, but the far left wanted to say it was about Bigfoot porn for some reason. The reason I thought it was so important is I could use Bigfoot believers as an avatar for the real danger, and that's that conspiracy theories and belief systems can become violent, or they can cause issues within our government that we cannot fix. And if you have a delusion-based government, you're in real trouble not being able to come back from this. We are seeing this. We're only 6 to 7 months in, and you already have insanity going on, and you have the same playbook. They're using it, right? And if you look over the past, since 1958 in Bluff Creek, right, when the Bigfoot prints were faked, and then that went national, right? And it's because the newspapers wanted to sell newspapers, and that actually created the Bigfoot phenomena, right? Was 1958 in Bluff Creek. You guys can look this up. I mean, everything I'm telling you is not just it's straight up facts. It's just like 1947 in Roswell. Thousands of percentage points rise in UFO, sightings after Roswell in 1947. So what you're seeing again is just like with this, you're seeing this rehash of conspiracy theories or belief systems over and over again. They try to tweak them a little bit, but they really don't change. So what you're seeing again with what's going on and why they're trying to cover with Epstein, with this ridiculous Tulsi Gabbard attack against Obama, is just a rehash of 2020. That's it. And I know you guys are like, my God, Denver, right? That's not that exciting. You know what is exciting? The fantasists right now that are all over social media and the far right and MAGA voters and the communications ecosystem they have that's spreading this everywhere to all the committees, all the churches. Everybody is eating this up. And they're trying to turn the actual messaging on Epstein. That is what's happening. So last night, yesterday, I filmed commercials for Abigail Spanberger for governor of Virginia, which is going to cause issues for me again, but that's okay. It's the right thing to do. And I haven't slept very well the past couple of nights because I've been traveling so much. I'm just everywhere all the time. So about 2 nights ago, I know I have to get up early in the morning. I got a long day, and it's just a troubled night. But I actually, most of my dreams are like monkeys blowing bubbles and they're on swings, I don't really have thematic dreams, but I had one that was pretty crazy, and I want to tell everybody this. And by the way, if anybody ever comes up and tells me I want to tell you my dream, I'm probably going to run away screaming. I don't want to hear anybody's freaking dreams. That's weird, right? Nobody cares about your dreams, but I'm going to tell you mine. So anyway, remember, nobody cares about your freaking dreams. So anyway, no, I did not see Bigfoot, Mama Bird. Nope, did not. I've never seen Bigfoot on all these expeditions, by the way. And now and I can't wait to have some questions. If everybody's ready to ask questions, now's the time, right? Because I'm going to start answering questions. So, but I'll tell you this quick dream, and you guys are going to laugh. So anyway, I go to UAE a lot, Dubai. I have a friend in Dubai. So my dream's about Dubai, and there's this big thing that they build, and there's a big old dock or this pier that's going all the way out, right, into this man-made lake that's huge, freshwater man-made lake. And it's the grand opening. And I remember it's my friend who I know in Dubai. It's in the dream. He takes me out on the dock or the pier, and he goes, "Look at this beautiful pier." And it's packed. It's packed. Now, I'm building a cantilever deck on my property, right? So that means it actually goes out over where the actual supports are. But this deck went all the way out in the water without any supports, and there's people there. I'm like, "Hey, is that going to hold all the people?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's a cantilever deck." How stupid is it? That's what dreams are, right? A cantilever pier the size of a football field. It's like a spaceship with windows. So anyway, so I'm looking there, and I'm looking out, and all of a sudden the pier shakes. It's like this big boom, right? I said, "Man, this ain't safe." Or everybody goes, "What if it's a shark?" Everybody in the thousands of people go and say, "Shark! It's a shark! A shark must have hit the pier." And I'm like, "There's no sharks in fresh water." And I'm trying to tell people there's no sharks in fresh water, right? It's a man-made lake. In the dream, somebody goes, "Well, what if they put a shark in it?" I mean, I know that. So now I'm like laughing in this dream, like, why are they going to put a shark in a lake? It can't live in a lake, right? So there's a lady swimming off the pier, right? And everybody's like, "Get out, it's a shark, it's a shark." And she's shrugging her shoulders in the water. Even in the dream, I have one sane person in the frickin' dream, and that's the one swimming in the dream. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, right? So anyway, then like, "It's a monster. It isn't a shark, it's a monster." And in the dream, as the deck starts to shake, or the pier, it's just more and more people are coming out because now they're saying, "Monster, shark, monster, shark." And I tell my friend, I said, "We have to get back to the building where there's actually a building. We got to get off this pier." He's like, "No, I want to see the monster." In the dream, I run back to the building, and I wake up. As I step onto the actual threshold of the building, I look back, and the deck's collapsing. People are screaming. And I guess what I'm telling you guys is that is one of the most thematic dreams I've ever had about disinformation, about the ridiculousness of the crowds and chaos. Now, why was it set in Dubai? I don't know, guys. It's a freaking dream. But what I'm telling everybody right now is that everybody is screaming monster. You got to get off the pier, and you got to take as many people off that pier and that dock as you can. And the fact that I had a dream about it, and I can tell you guys tonight when I knew I was doing this show on a Friday night, is freaking weird. I actually got up and paced for about an hour or two. Like, is this where we're going? I don't know how to stop it, right? I just know that I was trying to get everybody off the pier and nobody would follow me, and I turned around and I looked and it collapsed, right? Because they thought that a badly built pier was a monster trying to break it down. The only people that were safe were me and the person in the water that was shrugging their shoulders. So thank you very much, Bee's Knees. Yes, my dream is jump the shark. I got somebody saying I took a dream analysis class. That's fantastic, right? Oh my God. Oh, that's right. Depending on the understructure, but definitely that's right. Crafty Carry. That is correct. When you're doing a cantilever, you got to worry about the size of the length on the back end of it on the other side. But anyhow, thank you guys so much. I hope you go back and look at the Network Contagion Research Institute, what we wrote back in May of 2020. Just Google it. You can. We'll try to get a link up. Also, look at the Washington Post article, my Jake Tapper interview back in 2020, when we talk about how Trump actually retweeted that Obama had killed SEAL Team 6. Think about what I'm telling everybody right now. Take a look at that. And when you think about talking to people who are conspiracy theorists, make sure you're wearing your own night vision goggles. Make sure you run at the issue, because there's nothing there. There's not Bigfoots, there's not alien abductions, and there wasn't a coup attempt by Barack Obama. And by the way, to end it all, as you know, they're trying to take the word coup and they're trying to own it based on what happened on January 6th. All this is connected, not in a weird way. When you have people with strings right on a whiteboard and putting up stuff, it's connected because it's just a rehash of the same stupid conspiracy theories over and over, because the ignorant vote. Because the ignorant vote. So we have a couple minutes. So what I want to do, if there's anybody who has any comments or anything, you want to post them up because there's already some comments on here. Um, there you go. Yep, you have to follow the feeling in the dream. Have you ever seen the Kokanee Sasquatch? He loves Kokanee beer. I here's the thing. I hate to do this, but so we were on an expedition where people had had too much to drink. So, and they were out at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. If you want to talk a beer specific Sasquatch, I can do it, guys. Trust me. I have stories, millions. There's never a night you might hear the same story twice, millions. So anyway, we had a group of women that were going out to actually do the expedition. They decided to have a lot to drink, and my wife was with them. This is pretty crazy. So my wife is with them. So they're sitting there and they're out in the woods, and they're all around us. Like they had had a lot to drink, right? The red eyes are here. I can feel them close to us. And my wife's like, "Are you guys smoking crack? What are you looking at? Like, I don't see any red eyes. What are you thinking?" And one of the people in the group goes, "It's okay. I have a gun." Wife's like, "What?" She's with a bunch of drunk people in the woods looking for Bigfoot with a gun. And that's a beer squatch right there, folks. That's when when you see red eyes and you're drunk, that's when things get a little bit nuts. Um, oh, that's a great question. Who do you think will be the first member of his cabinet that would be hung out today? By the way, I will tell everybody I think Pam Bondi's gone. I don't think she can be saved. I think Pam Bondi's gone. I think it's going to be already. By the way, everybody, Mike Waltz has already been kicked out right after the Signalgate controversy. So he got moved to UN ambassador, right? Oh my gosh, I did not know that Sasquatch steals beer, guys. Is this a real thing? He's like the Yogi Bear for Kokanee. If that's a real thing, I need to know more about it. But yeah, I think Pam Bondi's next on the list to go. I think she'll be moved to another position. Oddly, there were rumors that Matt Gaetz was being brought up to the White House, which would be really interesting to have somebody who likes to Venmo women for certain types of favors, being actually the one that's overseeing the Epstein file ludicrousness with Donald Trump as an adjudicated sexual abuser being on the other end of that. Boy, that's quite the puzzle. You know, Trump might love Bondi, but the thing is that with Bondi, the issue that really they have, I will just let you guys know, Tim Burchett, I think from Tennessee's Fifth District, was on TV today. I don't know why he was on Meet the Press. I know Tim personally. He's the one who led the alien abduction disclosure hearings. He really wanted that to happen. As a huge believer in Bigfoot. And um, by the way, I know I'm saying this completely deadpan. I hope everybody's getting where I'm going with this. But he was out there as a spokesperson saying that Bondi should go because of the way that she messaged this and did this. And I think that's what you're saying at the congressional level is that she wasn't strong enough on the conspiracy theory, people who believe in aliens. And I think that's actually a real issue. I'm not even really joking about that. If you have conspiracy theorists mad at conspiracy theories about conspiracies that they created, that's a real issue, right? That, like I said today on TV, that is a self-licking ice cream cone of crazy. And that is really difficult to unravel and unwrap. So there you go. Um, yeah, they did get rid of the sex trafficking department. It's a good thing there. So this is fantastic. You guys are great. Thank you. I usually don't like to go over 30 minutes. I'm getting close to 30. So what I'm going to do is I want to take this last 50 seconds and tell you guys, please, I don't know if I've ever said this on Denver After Dark. Will you spread the word that I'm trying to do this? I'm not making any money off this, guys. You know me, not paying for subscriptions on Substack, YouTube, who knows? I'm doing okay. But let's spread the word and let's have Denver After Dark parties and let's actually talk about these conspiracy theories and the crazy that we're seeing out there together. So if you want to go to YouTube and subscribe, great. If you want to go to Substack, it's free. I'm never going to charge anybody. If you do want to give a donation, it's always for the incredible people that help with our show, like Doug, who's my producer, who's one of the best people. And you guys see the beginning, Doug, musician. If you see the things that are happening, I have writers that try to help me with some of the stuff that we're trying to do. These are the people that really are awesome. I'm just trying to get the message out because I can. And since I've tried to find every mythological creature from Bigfoot to aliens to sometimes I'd like to check out to see if Chupacabra. I even went to Point Pleasant to see if I could find the Mothman, right? And it's really to talk to people about their belief systems and why they believe and vote the way that they do. And a lot of times what you're going to find out is they're voting and believing on things that are absolutely just nuts. I was going to say something else, but I'm not. I don't want to listen. I don't want to call people stupid, but they can certainly vote stupidly. And ignorance sometimes is not because you're stupid; it's because you refuse to see what's happening, or you're credulous, or or maybe you're just cynical, or maybe you like to believe in fantastical things. As you guys know, facts can be boring, but facts can be enlightening. And the sane have to match the energy of the crazy, or we're going to lose, guys. So anyway, thank you guys very much for tonight. Please spread the word, show people the love. And I have to tell you guys, I really enjoyed tonight. Thank you. And we're signing out here from Denver Ever Dark. Remember, tell people about it. I'll see you guys in a couple days. Nothing but love. And remember, it's going to get worse before it gets worse, but we're going to be here when everything turns out okay. I'll see you guys.